Bienvenidos todo el mundo a Muchacha Charla with Paula Leon. That's me. Today I have with me Venezuelan actor and writer, Sofía Figueroa. You may have seen her feature in Bazaar or Cosmopolitan, or maybe you've seen her off Broadway work on 25. She's been working on a one-day show in Brooklyn, for when it's safe to be in large gatherings, called Home Art Expo. So make sure to check it out. Sofía, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's get started. Well, you're Venezuelan, yes? You lived there your whole life? Question?
No. I was born in Venezuela, but immediately after I was 2 years old, we moved to Brazil. I stayed there 3 years, and then I moved back to Venezuela. Then I moved to Guatemala, then back to Venezuela, then to Panama, back to Venezuela, and then I went to the US to pursue my acting career and go to NYU.
Wow. So
So
how has that been for you? Like being in so many different countries across Latin America. Like how has that been?
right now I have so much appreciation for it. I would never change my journey. Like if you ask me right now, I'm the person I am today and I'm here because of all the decisions my family made when I grew up, and I love that. However, when I was younger, I hated it. It was like 2 years I was in the school. I loved it. I finally made friends, and then we would have to move. So I guess at this point, I'm just, appreciative of everything my parents did for my education. And from every place you visit, you take a little bit of their culture, you learn their music, you enjoy and experience their food and their color and their traditions. And I love that because then now I feel that my identity is based on all the cultures that I've experienced, but all the places that I've been to and lived in. So yeah.
And how has that been in coming to like the United States of America? Like how was that?
um it's crazy because I mean, I obviously have a very open mind when it comes to different religions, different traditions, different cultures, different ways of, living your life. And I feel like coming here, I people are very not close-minded, especially in New York. People are open-minded, but in the US in general, especially right now with the political climate, I feel a little bit shocked that all of these things that I just thought were, common knowledge, or, you accept people as they come and everyone should have their basic human rights. I feel like here is based on religion or based on tradition. Um, and it's been different to navigate, but also it's a country that I haven't lived in before I came here. So I'm trying to respect as much as I can um, everything that comes with the US.
How do you feel that like your culture or combination of cultures has influenced your work, your artistic work?
Oh, wow. I always want like a fruit salad. I'm like, whenever I think I have my art or my craft ready to go, or whenever I also do watercolor paintings. And when I start painting, I'm like, okay, this could be it, but we need to put more color, more texture. Like, I just like having a little bit of everything. And sometimes it's a little saturating, but I think that that's how my upbringing has informed my art nowadays. Also, in terms of activism, I feel like I need to include some kind of social conversation in my art. I feel like art is a great way to get a message across without like slapping it in someone's face or shoving it down someone's throat. It's more like I planted a seed. You can decide whether or not you want to water it and make it grow and make it bloom, or you can just observe it and move on. And so I think that that's how it has influenced the work I do nowadays.
It's really cool. A little fun question. What's your favorite Latinx dish?
Oh my God. Pabellón criollo, which is the traditional Venezuelan food. It's very Caribbean. It has rice, beans, shredded beef, and plantain. It's so good. Also, it reminds me of home. It reminds me of my grandparents. It has a very sentimental and emotional place in my heart. So every time I eat it, I just feel like cuddled.
Where would you like to go visit?
In the world, when I was younger, I did a pilgrimage with my family. My family's Catholic. And we went to Jordan and Israel and Turkey. And I fell in love with Turkey. If I could travel anywhere, like after, it's safe to travel and just explore, I would definitely go to Turkey, to this place called Cappadocia, and just stay there.
That sounds really cool. What is your favorite or craziest superstition that you've ever heard?
I don't know if this counts as superstition, but my grandma taught me and all of my cousins that if it ever started raining and you wanted it to stop raining, you take out metal knives, you cross them, you put them outside, and supposedly it'll rain everywhere except in your house. And I'm not gonna lie, every time I do it, it never rains on me. How truth, like, what's the truth behind it? What's the logic? Zero. Like, I just think I've been lucky whenever I do it. But I don't know if that is even considered witchcraft, but that's what my grandma does. And that's what I firmly believe. If it ever rains and we want it to stop, you grab those knives and you put it outside.
I'm definitely going to try that one day. What do you think is a fun fact about your country that people don't normally know?
Ooh, that Venezuela has every type of landscape, or I guess seasonal change. So in Venezuela, you have the Andes Mountains, so it snows over there in this place called Merida. So beautiful. Then you also have deserts. You also have the Amazon. You have every kind of landscape or tropical weather or deserted area, and there's a lot to explore. The nature is beautiful. I just feel it's kind of opaque right now because of the political situation. But there's so much to do in Venezuela, and I wish I could take people on a journey over there. And also, fun fact, the movie Up, the Disney movie, that place where they go, the waterfall, it's in Venezuela. It's called El Salto Ángel.
It's so pretty. I feel like vocabulary tends to like vary amongst Latin American countries, and especially like in Spanish. Have you ever had a moment where you've gotten like lost in translation, or someone has said a word that means something completely different to you and you thought it was like hilarious or strange?
Yeah, that happens way too often. The most recent occurrence, which is a little embarrassing. So in Venezuela, there's a lot of vulgar vocabulary that it's used colloquially. Not proud of it, but that's what we do. And there's this word when you're super, super angry, like you're literally seeing red, you're like blinded by rage, is arrecha. Like estoy arrecha, it means I'm so angry. However, everywhere else in Latin America, everywhere else, that word means horny. I was telling the story to my friend's parents, that I was so angry that this thing happened, whatever. And I knew at some point I lost them in the storytelling, because I was like, I'm so angry, I'm so angry. And they're like looking at each other, and I knew they had something going on. I was like, I'm so sorry, did I say something wrong? They're like, we just don't understand, what does that have to do with what's happening? I was like, oh my God, no, 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 it means rage. It means rage. So that's the most recent one. You learn something every day, and that was definitely a great learning curve. But yeah, that's one of my many stories with language.
What do you wish to see more in terms of your representation?
Oh, well, let's start with women in general. I just want women to be the protagonists of stories, of TV shows, and I see more of that, but also it's usually tied to fashion, to like, oh, like girls getting their nails done, and we're all obsessed on how we look, and boys, and it's like, we also have other stories. We are also obsessed with our jobs and maybe creating a family, maybe not creating a family. It's a great storyline to have a woman who doesn't want to have kids. And what does that look like? These are basically all my friend groups, and we don't talk about those things. And then the second layer to that is, the Latin American representation on TV, movies, just like, it can't be that the one Disney princess I feel identified with is Moana. Love Moana, my favorite, but I remember clearly when I was younger, my cousins are white, blonde hair or dirty blonde hair, Latinas, but we look different. And I remember trying to play with her princesses, and they'd always be like, I'm Belle, I'm Cinderella. And they would be like, you can be Lilo. or Tarzan. And like at that moment, I was like, well, yeah, like that makes perfect sense because I don't look like any of the princesses. But it did affect me a lot as I grew older, thinking that main role, lead role wasn't for me because that's not meant for me. Whereas now I can reflect back and be like, representation can really help with people's identity and the way they see themselves in the world, or like a mirror of themselves. If I saw someone, a princess that looked like me, then maybe, or like a main character that looked like me or lived like me or had to move around a nomadic life through Latin America or just around the world, I'd be like, that adventurous person, that's me. Like, I like that, and feel a little bit more of, I don't know, self-worth, security.
I think it's really interesting, especially with the whole conversation of Disney princesses, especially for Latin Americans, because we never like, well, one, we all look insanely different. And then two, it's like we've never had our own like princess. So we find ourselves connecting to the ones that we feel represent at least parts of us.
Yeah. And like jumping off of that, like it's so important to create stories, to encourage people that like I write, but I write sketches, like comedy sketches, comedy shows, and I write a lot about the female experience. But when it comes to like TV shows, movies, like animations, it's so important to uplift people that are going to tell those stories and just like make sure that you give it a double thought. Like, who are you representing? Why is this person a stereotype? Why is it not? Like, it's nice to analyze that and just check the layers of representation that that could exist and that exists already.
Oh, of course. What is something that you are proud of at the moment?
So just yesterday, I found out that my group won Lin-Manuel Miranda's, it's like the Miranda family playwriting competition for Latinx voices. And it was like 800 plays got submitted or a little bit more. And then there were 5 finalists. And then they asked me to jump on board, like kind of stage this thing. And then just yesterday we found out we won. And so that's amazing. One, the play is incredible. Two, it's just an amazing project. And three, it kind of reminds you that, it's kind of what we were talking about, representation. Like these voices matter, these stories matter, these voices have to be amplified, and that someone that's so influential in this industry is able to provide a grant and provide a space for these plays to happen. One is just, it makes me so happy and joyful, but two, it's like, yes, like this is what has to happen. Amazing. Now, what else? So I think that's what I'm most proud of at the moment.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Major congratulations. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. Everybody, check out Home Art Expo and also be on the lookout for what happens with that.
No, thank you so much for your time. I love chatting with you.
Thank you.